Boom. We're here. The patrons have been yelling at me, and that's always good. It's always fun. I really like cashing the checks and not having to return anything, but I guess it's time we did some paybacks. They want to talk to professional gamers, 27 hours a day of Warhammer content, and we're gonna pick their brains about some builds. So I have Borgash with me, also known as Nalnish. How you doing, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks.
And you are a main of my second worst faction, the Warriors of Chaos. I suck so bad at the Warriors of Chaos. It is awful. So how this is going to work? I don't know what orders these are releasing in. I have a couple people lined up to give us some build feedback and advice. I will propose 3 fictional matchups to our expert here, and he will tell you what he would do in those situations, what build he would play, and why. Should be pretty short, sweet, and to the point. Are you ready?
Yep, let's do this.
All right, let's pretend I'm fighting you with greenskins versus your Warriors of Chaos. What do you do?
Okay, so probably Azazel to start with. Supervane, Rampage, pretty strong versus any skirmish cav. Catch any ball boys and just keep them in combat, which would be pretty nice. He's also quite cheap. I'm going to see how much money we've got left later. If I'm bringing Demon Blade, he's also a nice source of terror.
Mm-hmm.
So probably just some cheap front line. We want a bit of skirmish. Then, so they're probably going to be bringing a lot of ball boys. I need some way to beat them. Versus Greenskin. The Skull Crushers are a bit slow. Let's have a think. Squigs Elite up Chaos Warrior.
Yeah, I can see why you wouldn't want to go with an armored frontline versus greenskins between trolls and squigs. It's not like they're going to hold any longer.
Yeah. It depends how shooty the greenskins are going. So I've had some success with spawn on top of halberds before, because it removes the goblins pretty quick, and then the halberds chew up the squigs.
Mm-hmm.
But greenskins seem to have gone a bit more shooty recently. Probably want some knights.
Are any of the knight marks worth taking, or do you usually just go vanilla knights?
I usually take a mark. I don't like corn as much because the melee defense reduction, but they do more damage. Nurgle's not bad here just to make them tankier and last longer. I don't mind Tzeentch. If magical attacks are useful and the barrier's quite good for hit and run. Slaanesh isn't bad as well. It just depends how good you are at running around the back of people. Maybe a bit more skirmish. So there'll be some trolls. You've got the potential of a Mutilith Vortex Beast and healing. If we can get rid of their shooting, that would do pretty well. The other option is a horrible blob, but I don't really want to do that.
I unironically take the Rogue Idol here to deal with enemy blobs.
Yeah, the Rogue Idol is quite hard to deal with if you're not prepared for it. So I've got a couple of Chaos Knights. Skull Crushers won't trade very well.
Skull Crushers are surprisingly underwhelming. Like, their stat card is solid, but it just never works out.
I really like using them, but they don't do well. For some reason. You probably want. Greenskins have quite a bit of difficulty getting rid of the Severed Claw. So they're relatively decent if you can keep the squigs off.
Yeah, it could be a good constant annoyance on the front line. Always give
Well,
you
if
presence.
you can get a nice rampage into them as well. Probably just one. Since we're playing around rampage, we'll try and rampage their cav and trolls into halberd.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and shoot them off. If they're going heavy shooting, we'll have to try and get the Knights of Nurgle around. Maybe we'll go. Yeah, okay. And then probably a dog to chase something. I don't have enough for that. Not worth it. Okay. Maybe not a dog. I can get. I can't get one more skirmish kill. Got 4 marks, so I can't use them. Warriors of Chaos always seem to have an annoying amount of money left whenever I play them.
What happens if you sell one Marauder? What's the value? 950. I mean, is 2 poison
950.
dogs worth it? Because you have a front
You
line
could,
of
but you've
7 infantry. That feels like a decent amount.
they don't. I wouldn't really call the Severed Claw a front line though. Like they're good, but they'll just get ran past, right?
Fair.
And if they've got squigs, they'll chew these up. If they've not, they'll hold for a bit. I don't know if I want 2 poison dogs.
Okay.
Because I've got poison. Actually, yeah. If I go poison dog, I'm going to change these guys. What speed are boar boys?
I can check on my end. Boar boys are 70.
Okay. So, if I go with poison on the dogs, I probably want to change, because I'm going to use them in tandem with the cav. So, take the charge with the warhound, run in with the knight. So, I'll probably change off Nurgle. Maybe Slaanesh, because I'm hoping I can get wrapped around them. Maybe Zine. So Slaanesh makes me a bit faster.
Oh, okay. You're swapping up
Probably
the Chaos Knights. I got you.
Yeah. Probably Zinch, just so they can take trades a bit more, then run out and regenerate the barrier.
Okay.
So probably this, and then just
some chevrons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably
Now,
go with that.
How would this build change if you were fighting Tomb Kings?
Okay. Quite a lot.
Okay.
So Tomb King.
So why is
I
it
like
different?
Ark.
What's different about Greenskins versus
So-
fighting Tomb Kings?
Because they're quite a different playstyle. You know, Greenskins are mainly going to rush at you, and they have good ways of dealing with armored infantry, whereas Tomb Kings don't very much. So Tomb Kings are a lot more boxy. They'll have a big line of spears at the start. They're not usually as much skirmish, or the skirmish isn't as impactful, so I'm not as bothered about catching it out. And their cav isn't as impactful either. So they're mainly looking for their constructs to try and carry. So I like Archeon in this matchup.
Okay.
With Burning Head and Spirit Leech. So one of the key things if you can break through the Tomb King front line quickly, and they're really weak to Burning Head, once the skeletons are gone, you can just get on top of the important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Harold is also just horrible for the undead to deal with. We'll see if I've got enough money for the other bits on him. But they don't have a lot of single entity killing power. So both of these combined is quite hard for them to deal with. You usually have Arcan Spirit Leech and stuff, but that's a lot of health to Spirit Leech through.
Yeah, with 2 important single entities, that's not going to be enough for just
Yeah,
Spirit Leech.
And Harold can just make everyone run away, right? It's all about breaking through that front line. He removes the undead stuff so they start running away. Then, so like I said, they struggle versus armor. So get a few of these.
They're the thick boys.
Yeah, just the standard Chaos Warriors. What else? Some Knights as well. This is one of the few matchups I sometimes use Skull Crushers in.
Why is that?
Because so one of the big weaknesses of Skull Crushers is the speed, but Tomb Kings aren't very fast. So it's not as worrying. But you'd probably say we're just going some Knight.
Okay.
So we've got that. We just want to mob the front line. We've got nice wraparound. You get your characters in. Marks. Khorne's not bad in this one because you're mainly after your knights to do lots of damage. And Khorne, you get the frenzy to do more damage.
And the fire damage applies to anybody getting their passive.
Yeah, so Archaon with Kindle Flame works quite nicely. Archaon also buffs himself. And obviously with Slayer of Kings, he can absolutely kill something. He's a very good sniper.
It's true. I'm at the Tomb King's passive where they get those tiers of regeneration for the
yeah. It reduces the healing from that.
Yeah.
Let's think. So we need something if they go Ushakti. So if they try and surprise us and go more of a rush, we probably want something shooting just in case. Probably. How many can We're a bit weak to Ushakti. So if they go for melee Ushakti, they'll do quite a bit of damage into the warriors, and we don't have a huge amount to deal with them. They also handle Harold okay. So we need something for just in case to do that. So probably... We've got that, we've got 200 gold.
Is upgrading them to throwing axes a bad idea?
It's not bad, but... So, you should actually have a bit of armor, so it is useful to get through it. But at the same time, they're quite a lot shorter range. No, they're only 10 life, but they have less armor. Potentially.
And I started this out by saying Warriors of Chaos are my second worst faction, so I'm not trying to criticize you because I know better.
No.
Just asking. Those armor-piercing missiles are tempting if you have the money. But I feel like
they are.
I feel like the Arc of Fire is worse, and I don't know why. But like, it just whenever I have a throwing axe cav, it feels really hard to hit stuff.
Yeah. How many marks have we used? 2. Okay, we can actually afford some more marks. We could get 3 of these. I don't usually like putting marks on warriors and stuff, but I've got 50 gold and I've got marks free. And they're the only ones I can afford.
Mm-hmm.
What are these? These cost 25 each. Yeah, Khorne costs 25. Probably upgrade one of these to... It'd have to be Khorne. just to try and get through the front line a bit faster.
More corn.
Yeah,
Love it.
unfortunately, it doesn't give fire attacks, but
It's still got frenzy.
yeah, because it's all about trying to burn through that front line quick
Gotcha.
to get on top of the good stuff. So you probably stick Harold on top of those ones.
Okay, so the greenskins, you went pretty mobility focused and rampage picks. And then Tomb Kings, you
Yeah,
went heavy metal frontline and rush with strong single entities.
yeah. So I think Tomb Kings struggle to. Harold's really good versus undead in general, and Archeon, he's still fast, but Tomb Kings really struggle to pin him down. So he can be in and out, and he's always a threat. So with Slayer of King, he does a lot of damage. I've not picked Crown of Domination for this one because Terror's kind of not that useful. I often get it normally, but it's just not that useful here because there's not a huge amount on the Tomb King roster that causes Terror that I expect him to take, and that would be the only real use. I can't. Oh no, he's ITP anyway. Yeah, I don't need it.
Alright, alright.
So yeah, something like that. I used to run, when you could have Zangors, I ran Zangor heavy as well, because of the armor. But yeah, something like this. It's just a slow push. You want to be getting your horsemen. You could drop the horsemen down to Javelin. Wouldn't make a huge amount of difference. And probably use them to... Yeah, just run around, try and shoot things. It's mainly for if they've got comms.
Okay.
Or if they've got melee you shout to.
And we'll wrap this up with a different faction. So we had a rush faction with light armor. We had kind of a defensive faction that's undead. What about the heavily armored Chaos Dwarves? How do you tackle that matchup?
Chaos Dwarves are a tricky one because of a couple of ways they can build. So let's see. What are you worried about on Chaos Dwarves? You've got the trains. You've got the single entity flying squad. You've got a potential gun line. And you've got Infernal Iron Sworn, which are very hard to kill. So they usually bring a reasonable amount of cheap chaff. So I'm going to use Armax Marauders for that. They can also absorb any of the the bombs they've got. So all of their blasting charges. Just kind of want to use it on a cheap thing. Lord-wise, right, let's think what magic we want. Death magic's not bad here for getting rid of guns. Probably want a death magic cast though. You could also run metal with Plague of Rust. So Warriors of Chaos don't have huge amounts of ways of dealing with heavily armoured infantry, apart from your Great Warrior people. So a lot of the Cav armour piercing, apart from the really expensive ones. So it makes it a bit trickier. Trolls will get shot off. Spawn are just weak to being shot. I don't rate battle trolls very much. So, we want to try and overwhelm them. We're going to try and overwhelm them with a bit of cheap stuff. The more the great weapons are just there to deal with any chaos dwarfs they bring.
Mm-hmm.
So we want death to deal with single entities and for single entities and any gun lines, ideally. Do we have anyone in a Lord who's good at casting death? No. So I don't like the generic Sorcerer Lord. They also have a bit of fire resistance on the Chaos Dwarf warrior, on the Chaos Dwarf roster, so you don't want to heavily invest too much in corn.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. You've got both Centaur renders, but the main thing you want to worry about is messing with their gun line. So if you think they're not going too artillery heavy, Hell Cannons isn't that bad because they're a very slow faction. But it just takes one Deathstreak rocket launcher and you lose. The Infernal Iron Sworn are my biggest problem, so I definitely want Death Card. Who can deal with the Infernal Iron Sworn as a Lord? Don't mind Valkyrie in this one. So the spear is quite good into armoured infantry. She can make herself immune, and she's got quite nice anti-large to deal with the potential of flying goon squad.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Stingers.
Hey,
He's up next. We're finishing up with Nalnish right now.
No.
okay. Figuring out my Warriors of Chaos into Chaos Dwarf.
I'll stream so Stingers doesn't just sit in the abyss. He can now see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Stingers plays Chaos Dwarves, right?
Yeah, I haven't got the chance to play this one. Nobody will take it whenever I offer it. So I feel like people don't like to play against the Chaos Dwarves in this one, but I don't really know why.
So I'm going cheap front line. We'll need some mobility to try and pressure the back line.
Dragon Ogres.
I really wish they were good. I really wish they were good.
That healing.
Fleshy abundance for the Dragon Ogres.
Again, the Severed Claw are not easy for the Chaos Dwarves to share.
What magic are you going?
Going Death. So, Buna for any weapons teams. For any gun line. And then Spirit Leech. The other option is potentially Metal. I think that those are one of the two I'd go with.
If you're open, just I actually like Shadows into Chaos Dwarf. That being
Pit of Shit.
Pit.
Yeah.
Their expensive elite infantry are usually in 1 to 3s, and you can just like delete 2 of them that way. I really like doing that with Blizzard on Kislev, and then I do that with High Elves with Pit. It's like the rest of their stuff is just chaff. So you just like delete one of their front line if they go for, especially if you see the grenades, then you're just so happy. They won't kill models on the Overcast, but it gets them real low. So that basically.
But then it's not as good versus. I forget the name of the Fireglaves because they're usually in a nice line.
Really? Oh, I thought you still just like click and delete one, but I could be wrong on that then.
I don't hate Shadow.
Yeah, it's like Fireglaves and those grenade boys that I usually like. Perfect. There's only 2 or 3. Just delete.
Well, yeah. And Melkarthus is just free value. If they bring any skirmish card or anything. Oh, I'm actually struggling with this matchup a bit. I wish Chariots were good because I'd take them.
Dude, I wish Chariots were good.
Yeah, they've been walling in the pits for far too long.
Except for Kislev.
Yeah.
Kislev gets real Chariots. God forbid anybody else.
Yeah. So I think Chaos Knights are a relative staple on the roster. And again, I usually
reason
mark
you're
them.
not going 5 Great Weapon Marauders?
Because if you bring the cheap chaff, I'd probably 4 and 4's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I want some to absorb the blasting charges or whatever that I'm not as bothered about.
Okay.
So you can push them up on the front. I think you need these to try and compromise the back line. Probably zoom. I'll struggle if I get them into the middle of them.
Alright,
Now
you're
we
all
need
out of
some
marks.
Anti-train shenanigans.
Why are
Yeah, the
why are
train's a
bile
problem.
trolls so bad?
I mean, they're more expensive. So compared to the armored one,
Yeah.
more
They're
expensive.
competing with the armored one, right?
They've got 50 less armor. They've only got 5. So the weakness of trolls is often the leadership. They've only got 5 more. But yeah, they'll just be. Once trolls are in melee, they're good. So I don't really need to boost much of the melee. I need to boost the survivability getting in there. And they just have all the same weaknesses, but cost a lot more money.
Gotcha.
And I'm not a great fan of trolls in general, because if versus better players, you can just have something chase them off. If you get anything around the back, they're just gone. They break very quickly. Versus the Chaos Dwarves, any gun line will just shoot the trolls.
Okay.
And it'll just rout them off. And they'll likely have some sort of flyers. I don't mind Horse Masters.
If you downgraded one of your great weapons to a regular again, you could get a third skirmish cav. Just to stick it to Stingers. Tell him he's wrong.
Yeah.
There was a reason I had 5 regular Stingers. I knew it. Yeah.
So we definitely need something speedier to chase things off.
And I feel like you need some anti-train or anti-annoying bull, like triple SPB.
Well, Valkyrie doesn't trade too badly into them.
He had Spirit Leech. You made him get rid of it.
Yeah.
The Spirit
Why is
Leech,
it Chaos
they
don't
just
have
heal
much for the
from that
trade?
or no?
Oh, I meant for the trade. Spirit Leech would be the trade.
Oh, I see. Okay.
See, that's why I'm tempted with Mech. Probably actually change that. Right, so...
Final trans, is that what you're going? Oh, Skull of Catan?
Let's go over to the camera. If you put them on
That'll
a disc,
do it.
it's very hard to do. And Searing Doom works nicely versus the boxes, but now I'm spent too much money. And I've spent too many marks. Okay, the Seven Claw's gonna have to go. So the Skull of Catan really boosts your final tran. It's a huge amount of damage. It's on a train. That'll do a lot of work. Even versus some of the heavier infantry, it'll go quite nice.
And it's
Searing
good
Doom will
versus
play
that
rough.
silly triple SE build that I can't stand.
Yeah.
I was
I haven't got
doing
enough wins, though.
I was doing a piece of content with Grace where she picks my army, and I do a quick battle with that army. And we'll probably upload it, but I just got so fucking salty because we loaded into a game and I was fighting the Empire and they had 2 steam tanks and a land ship.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well I got a fucking Grace build and like love her, but she doesn't even play this game. So now I'm trying to beat 2 steam tanks and a land ship with like Festus and Uncle Frunkle, and it's like, oh, for God's sake.
Uncle Frunkle.
They each, all of the chariots got over 3,000 value, and it was a close game because I deleted everything that wasn't those 3, and then they just kited me, and I'm like, you fucking dick.
That's quick battle sport, yeah.
Anyway.
Right, so I've swapped a few things around now, so I'm going to get some throwing axes as well, just for potential trade. And again, I've ended up at a really awkward amount of gold. So I'd probably go something like that. You've got these 3 to pressure any train. These should help deter flying entities a little bit along with Valkyria. Some mash just to try and push through. Dog just to chase anything off. I'll get off. And if they've got any like hobgoblin archers. And then just trying to push through with the rest of it.
Okay. Looks like a solid build. Better than I could craft. Sir.
I think the Skull of Catan will be quite a big part of it because they usually run at least one very strong single entity.
Yeah, and the skull, for anyone who doesn't know, because I can't hover it right now, the skull buffs up your next spell if you have it procced. So you usually want to cast it on yourself right before you overcast Final Transmutation.
Does it not work after you've cast it?
I think it does, but I've seen
it does because of the tick.
I've seen too many people forget to skull.
Yeah, so I usually final trans lasts 16 seconds, and the skull lasts 13. So I usually overcast final trans and then pop the skull. But you do have to remember.
Got it. Remember and nice don't stop your own final trans.
Your final trans. Yes.
Yes.
It's quite nice on the Tzeentch one as well because if it's not hit you, the barrier just kind of absorbs all of the
skull
damage from the skull anyway.
Alright.
And I've got him on the disc just because that makes him a bit more mobile and able to target his enemies a bit better. Pick who he's killing.
Sounds good. Well, sir, thank you for your time going through those 3 builds with me. Spoilers for the next version of this video, but our High Elf main is here to do the same thing, but with 3 different matchups with High Elves, so I guess we'll hop over to Stingers, but I'll start a new recording for that. So, thank you so much for your time, Borgash/Nalnish, and I wish you the best of luck in Warpstone Cup.
No worries, thanks for the time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Subscribe, yes.